Hello Year 4, welcome to another online English lesson. Today our English lesson is going to have two parts. The first part will be based on a new text, so we'll be looking at our reading comprehension skills, and the second part will be a spelling activity. So the first part will be looking at vocabulary in a new text. So we're still looking at our VIPERS acronym that we've been talking about this week. And this acronym helps us to know about the skills that we need when we're approaching an unfamiliar text. A text that we haven't met before. And each part of this acronym represents a different skill. So far this week we've looked at vocabulary, inference, we haven't done prediction yet, we've done explanation, we've done retrieval and we've done summarising. And today we're looking at some more vocabulary work. After the reading part of the session, we're going to do a quick online spelling test. So we'll be doing a hold a sentence activity based on one of the words that we've looked at this week in our home learning packs for spelling, because it's a Friday. Okay, so this is the first part of your work pack that you need to be looking at. We're looking at the story starter about the volcano. And that links in really well to our next home learning pack, which will be themed around extreme Earth. So we'll be learning more about volcanoes then. Okay, so I'm going to read the text first. And you just need to listen the first time, and then after that we'll start thinking about some of the verbs that are going to be used in the text. Story starter, so we know it's fiction, but we know it's based on truth because it's based on the volcano, and those are true, those are factual. But we know that this particular text is fiction, it's made up, because it's a story starter, and stories are fiction texts. We also know that we're not going to find out everything about the story because it's just a starter. So just like when we looked at the text about the little people who live in the house, we didn't know everything about the little people, we only knew what the author had chosen to include at the beginning of the story. It was the moment they had been dreading for decades. The volcano had finally erupted. So the volcano has gone off. Finally, so they've been waiting for it for a long time. That can often happen, it can be very unexpected. The earth shook as torrents of golden death cascaded over the helpless landscape. So it's almost as though the author sees the lava like a river. It's a torrent, like a waterfall or a swollen river that's swollen with all the rain, but actually it's lava. And it's cascading over the helpless landscape, just like a river would cascade over the land, or a waterfall would cascade over the rocks. Clouds of ash swarmed over the countryside, enveloping everything in their path. That's interesting. They've described the ash as like a swarm. We normally get a swarm of insects, and often if you have a swarm of insects, it's almost like a plague. Like a plague, a very mythical idea, isn't it, a plague? It comes up a lot in old stories. So we've almost given the ash a personality there. So we're thinking the ash is like a plague of insects swarming to try to get humans, even though it's not, it's just ash. Chaos reigned as the beast that had been sleeping for years, now awoken, smote his fury upon the world. That's a very old-fashioned word, smote. It means you've hit something. So he's put out his fury all over the world. What is the beast, I wonder? I think the beast is the volcano. I think it's a tool that authors use called personification, where the author gives something in nature or something that is inanimate a personality. So it's as though it's a real person or as though it's an animal with personality, and it can do things like a person would do. So in this case, the volcano is described as a beast, and it's almost like hitting the world with its fury. I like that phrase, chaos reigned, as well. Chaos, when things are really confusing, reigned over the world when the volcano erupted. So it's as though confusion and helplessness and people not knowing what's going on was in charge, reigned like a king or queen would reign. In the distance, a flash of silvery lightning licked across the sky, a snake's forked tongue lashing out in fury to strike its prey. So it's not really a snake, it's the lightning. But it looks like a snake's tongue about to poison somebody, to kill it. And again, that's personification, that's that tool the author's using to give the volcano a personality. Now it's a snake. It was a beast before, and now it's a snake. And it was a swarm before as well, a swarm of insects. It's doing all sorts. The world was on fire. It was nature's turn to take its revenge. And there again we can see that personification, the idea of nature having a personality, wanting to take revenge on the world. And that's part of it being a story, so that's the fictional part, isn't it? The made up part. It's not really, nature's not really taking its revenge. It just feels like that when the volcano erupts. So we've looked through our text, we've thought about how some of the language can be used. This time I'm going to read the text again, and I'd like you please to underline 4 verbs, so 4 action words in the text that make you feel scared, that make this text quite emotive, quite scary. Okay, so you're underlining 4 verbs. It was the moment they had been dreading for decades. The volcano had finally erupted. The earth shook as torrents of golden death cascaded over the helpless landscape. Clouds of ash swarmed over the countryside, enveloping everything in their path. Chaos reigned as the beast that had been sleeping for years, now awoken, smote his fury upon the world. In the distance, a flash of silvery lightning licked across the sky, a snake's forked tongue lashing out in fury to strike its prey. The world was on fire. It was nature's turn to take its revenge. Okay, I should give you a minute to underline those verbs. Well done. So over here, these are my verbs. You might have chosen different ones, and that's absolutely fine, because there are lots of verbs that you could have chosen in that text. There's definitely more than 4. Okay, so I found it quite scary that the lava cascaded like a river over the mountain. That made me think that the lava was flowing very quickly like a river, and also that it was very destructive, like a powerful river. I didn't find it that scary that the volcano erupted, because that's quite a technical term, isn't it? It's quite factual. We do know that volcanoes erupt. It's not an emotive term, it's not an emotive verb, it doesn't make you feel emotion, but it does tell us that the volcano erupted, and that in itself is actually quite scary, so I still included it on my scary list. Down here, the idea of the ash swarming like bees is terrifying. It's like it's coming after you to try to get you, like a plague almost. And here, the idea that the volcano has made chaos reign over the land is terrifying as well. The idea that nothing's in control apart of the volcano. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone's trying to get away. So could you just pause the video for a moment and try to guess which one I'm going to say is the most scary and why? Interesting. I didn't think that erupting volcanoes is that scary, because actually that's a technical term. It's not emotive, so I'm going to take that one off. Raining. If you reign over something, like a king or a queen, you can reign in a positive way. We know this isn't a positive way of reigning, because we know that chaos is reigning over the land. That is quite scary. We know that cascading lava is also very, very scary. But cascading lava isn't as scary as a swarm of ash. Because when you think of something swarming, it's something poisonous, and it's something dangerous, something horrible, something very, very negative, and it's actively doing something. It's coming towards you. So that personification of nature makes this verb really terrifying for me. You might have a completely different verb that's terrifying, and that's absolutely fine. Raining, nature raining, is also personification, but because you can rain in a positive way, that's slightly less terrifying than a swarm of flies. I'm going to take that one off my terrifying list. So my most terrifying verb is a swarm of ash, like a swarm of flies coming towards you. It's personification. So nature has personality, but nature has a very vicious personality in this case. Okay, so your task now is, out of your 4 verbs, could you do what I've just done and pick your scariest verb and draw a picture about what it looks like to you. So I've drawn my flies there coming towards you, and the arrow is meant to signal they're all going in the same direction to get you, just like the ash. So if you pause the video here and draw your most terrifying verb and write it down. Thank you for pausing the video, well done. So we've looked at the vocabulary part of our VIPERS acronym. We've thought about personification in this text, about the idea that nature has personality. We've thought about the verbs that the author has chosen to use to give nature a personality, and which one different people think could be the most scary. So for me that was the swarm of flies, the swarm of ash. but that might be something completely different for you, and that's absolutely fine because that's your opinion. Okay, so we've done our reading comprehension part. We're going to move on to our spelling activity because it's a Friday. So would you like to turn, please, in your home learning packs to this page here with your spelling activities on. As you can see at the top, you've got some revision words to do here, and then you've got the new words here, and we're looking at the OUS ending. So we've got tremendous, enormous, mountainous and jealous. And underneath here you've got some different ways to practice spelling those words. That's the sort of thing you can do independently. And independently you could also choose a challenge to help you to practice those words. You've got two different things that you can do independently there to help yourself to learn those words. And what we're going to do today is just one guided activity, just to introduce one of the words and to practice writing a sentence with focusing on our spelling choices, because sometimes when we write sentences we have so many good ideas, it's difficult to focus on everything. So today we're just going to focus on our spelling choices. Okay. So could you pause the video and copy what I've got on my whiteboard? You should have Athena, and then a space for a word, and a space for two more words, Arachne, and a space for a word, and you can just see that full stop at the end. So pause the video now and copy this onto your page. Thank you, well done. Okay, now we're going to do hold a sentence. We're going to choose one of these words, these new words. So it's going to be tremendous, mountainous, tremendous, enormous, mountainous or jealous as our focus words. We're going to hold the sentence in our minds and write it down. And this means we can just focus on the spelling choices without thinking about the composition of our sentence. So there's not too many things to think about. Okay, so this is your sentence. I'm going to say it first, then we'll say it together, and then we'll write it down. Athena was jealous because Arachne won. Athena was jealous because Arachne won. So this sentence is based on our reading comprehension from yesterday. Let's say it together. Athena was jealous because Arachne won. Time to write it down. Well done. Okay, time to show your boards. Athena was jealous because Arachne won. So the two real focus words today, we've got jealous, which is one of our words from our spelling list that we've just looked at, and because that's a word that often people get mixed up with when they're writing independently. So tick or fix your answer. Fantastic, well done everybody. So for next week's spelling activity, could you check please that you've had a chance to practice one of these ways of spelling the words, one of these ways of writing the words, and one of these challenges, and then next week we'll have another spelling activity to see what you've remembered. Okay, thank you for concentrating so well today. The two skills we've been looking at are vocabulary, thinking about personification in the text about volcanoes, and the verb choice that was used by the author to show that, and our spelling activity. Well done. Okay, see you next week for another online English lesson. Have a great day. Bye.